Hello and welcome to our Learn It channel. My name is Kara Clifford. I am here at Learn It in San Francisco, sitting right above Market Street, and today we're going to talk about Outlook 2016. I wanted to share some things that I find really helpful when it comes to using the calendar in Outlook, specifically sharing your calendar with other people and requesting permission to view someone else's calendar. So let's go ahead and take a look at using Outlook 2016 calendar sharing. Here I'm in my Outlook 2016, and you can see I've got an open afternoon. I'll actually be teaching a class this afternoon. And I'm going to go ahead and discuss some of the interface options we have working within the Outlook 2016 application. I've moved over to the calendar section down at the bottom here. One of the things that I love in using Outlook is there's actually keyboard shortcuts. If I use a combination of the Control and 1 or the Control and 2, it'll move me to the different sections of my Outlook calendar. On the ribbon of the calendar up at the top, this is where I can access all of my sharing. There is a share command group, and here I can open up email calendar, sharing calendar, publishing online, and my calendar permissions. Now, most organizations that I work with allow everyone at the company to see free and busy time by default. In other words, if I open up someone's calendar, I would see that they had something on their calendar, but I wouldn't see what it is. Now, if you're curious who has access to your calendar, open up the Calendar Permissions button. This will bring you to the permissions for your calendar, as well as where you can add or remove permissions. You can see for me that the default within my organization is that free and busy time. What that means is that people will see that I have something on my calendar, but they won't see the subject, the location, or the details of that event. Now, I have colleagues that I have given permission to view more, such as the subject and the location of my meeting. Here I can see that I've got colleagues that have the ability to see free, busy time, the subject, and the location. Now, at any time, I can add people, giving them permissions to my calendar. I'm going to choose Add here, and I'm going to search for one of my colleagues. Here I find Joseph, and I'm going to head and select his name and choose Add. Then I'll simply say OK. Now that I've added Joe as someone that has permissions, you'll see that automatically he gets those default permissions of free and busy time. But Joe already had the ability to see my free and busy time. So I'm going to go ahead and give Joe the ability to see the full details of my calendar. Now, I could give Joe additional permissions to write or create events, to own content, or be able to delete items. I'm going to go ahead and give him the ability to delete his own items that he's created, as well as create items on my calendar. Now, I can choose different read, write, delete items, and other permissions for Joe, or I can choose one of these permission levels. You'll see that each one of these levels comes with its own set of permissions for each of those different categories. As a contributor, Joe can see free and busy time. He cannot delete anything. He can create things, and he has folder visibility. I'm going to go ahead and give Joe reviewer privileges so he can see my full details, but I'm also going to customize it by giving him the ability to delete his own items and create his own items. Now you'll notice as soon as I did that, it bumped his permission levels to a non-editing author, one of the choices that I had to choose from. So again, you can customize every element of the permissions within Outlook, giving assistants and managers the ability to add content to your calendar or view content. Now, once I've made any changes to these permissions, I can choose apply. Those permissions become active, and then I simply say OK to close that dialog box. Being able to customize permissions in Outlook makes it easier to go on vacation, to collaborate with other people within your department and in your job role. It's also very valuable when needing to work on a specific project and being able to create shared folders where multiple people can have access and permissions to adding content. Now, I want to share a couple things that I do in case I have a private event on my calendar. And I want to make sure that people like Joe, although I've given him full permissions on my calendar, that I still have the ability to keep certain things private. So let's go ahead and show how to create a private event. So if you do have a personal appointment, even if you've shared your calendar, you don't have to make that visible to everyone. I'm going to go ahead and create a new meeting on my calendar, or let's just say a new appointment. Now, an appointment is something that I'm not inviting anyone to. Maybe this is, let's say, a doctor appointment. Now, if I create the doctor appointment, I can put in the address, put in whatever additional information I need. This appointment that I have created here, though, is going to open up and give me the ability to put in certain information, like maybe something I need to bring. Now, this appointment is next to another one on my calendar. I'm going to go ahead and move it to another day. I'm going to put it on Friday at 12 o'clock. Now, if I go to save this appointment, when it saves, you'll see that it's placed this appointment on my calendar. Eventually. And here I have that doctor appointment on my calendar. Now, if at any time I want to invite someone to this appointment, I can choose invite attendees. That will relaunch the appointment that I created for myself, and now I can invite someone. Maybe I'll invite my personal email to this appointment so it goes on both calendars. Now, if I was going to put anything personal, or maybe if I just wanted to keep this appointment private, one of the things that I can do is I can mark this appointment as a private appointment. Here in the top right corner on the ribbon, under the Meeting tab, I have the ability to mark something as private. When I select that option, it marks this appointment as a private appointment, so other people will not be able to see it. Now, even though this is on my calendar, I'm going to send it without a location. Even though it's on my calendar, even though I know that many people have permissions to view my calendar, the full details, this particular appointment is private. And you'll notice that it has that little padlock in the far right corner. So if you want to share your calendar with other people, if you want to make sure other people have the ability to use your calendar, make sure to do that through the calendar permissions. And then once you've set those calendar permissions, if you want to mark certain appointments as private, simply go into the appointment and choose the private option from the Meeting tab of the ribbon. Outlook gives us so many different options and ways to collaborate together. I highly recommend looking at your calendar sharing permissions and making sure that it's set up in the most appropriate way. Also, if you want to share your calendar with someone else in an easy way, I'll show you one more thing that you can do, as well as requesting permissions to view someone else's calendar. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to share your calendar with someone else. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this meeting that I've created here, this appointment. And I want to go into my calendar section and open up the Share Calendar button. When you open up the Share Calendar button, this is a great way to allow a recipient to use your calendar. Now, the calendar permissions that I showed you earlier is much more customizable. There's a lot more permissions levels, but this is a quick way to share your calendar. Now, I shared my calendar with Joe earlier, and I allowed him to view my availability. But what I want to do now is I want to request that Joe share his calendar with me. So I'm requesting permission to view the recipient's calendar. Now, when I do that, I can request limited details, full details, or just the free availability, which, as you can see, is the free and busy time. Now, the availability only is something that everyone at my organization has by default. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and share my full details with Joe, allowing him to view the full details of my calendar. And simply select Send, and now Joe will get access to my calendar and he'll be able to approve a request for me to view his. So, Outlook, very powerful sharing features built in. Using the ribbon, use the Share Calendar button to request sharing or to share your calendar with someone else. Use calendar permissions to manage all the permission levels that people have within your organization. And again, remember that when you are creating new meetings or appointments, you can always mark those as private, even if you have shared your calendar with other people. So thank you so much for joining us today on our Outlook 2016 calendar permissions and sharing. I highly recommend that you subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We look forward to hearing your comments and feedback and requests for additional topics on our channel. So thank you again for joining. My name is Kara Clifford, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.